Today I want to share with you 5 foods that could be causing or increasing depression and anxiety in your life. Okay, I know today as Christians, we don't usually like to admit when we're depressed. We don't like to think about being depressed, but yet it happens. And it happens in the Christian circles almost as much as it does outside the Christian circles, which is really kind of sad. I know many of us remember the verse in Philippians where it says, be anxious for nothing, but with prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to the Lord. And that verse goes on to say, and the peace of God, which passes all understanding, shall keep our hearts and our minds through Jesus Christ. And so we know Scripture says, well, anxiety, we're not supposed to have that. And depression, well, we really don't want that either, but it happens. And it happens not just for emotional reasons or psychological reasons. It happens because of nutritional deficiencies. And today we're going to talk about it. I'm Annette Reeder, the Biblical Nutritionist. I just want to thank you for watching today and learning, because together we can become more confident in the kitchen with our cooking, more confident with our health for our tomorrows, and then also more confident in understanding God's love for us. That's my mission, is to help you to discover all 3 of those areas. Okay, so back to depression. On the National Institute of Health, they've even recognized nutrition and depression are intricately and undeniably linked, as suggested by the mounting evidence by researchers in neuropsychiatry. Okay, the evidence is out there. Scripture talks about it. Now it's time that we identify it. As you know, in teaching the Treasures of Healthy Living Bible Study, we teach from 3 principles. And the first principle is very important. Eat the foods that God called food. And the second principle is eat the foods as close to the way God designed it. Well, that's where we get into a lot of trouble. When we think we're eating bread, yet it's white processed flour, then our body doesn't know how to respond, and it causes a lot of havoc. And so that's the clue to the first food we're going to talk about, the first of the 5 foods, and that is bread. And not so much bread, but what's been done to the bread, because there is such a thing as dead bread. And that's the bread that's in the grocery store sitting on the shelf for weeks waiting to see if you will buy it. Bread wasn't meant to be dead. It was meant to be a living food. And that's why Christ compares himself to bread over 400 times. Well, he's not comparing himself 400 times, but it's mentioned 400 times in the Old and the New Testament about bread and the significance of it. Well, when you process white flour, as we talk about in all of our books, the Bible Study, the Nutrition Manual, the Cookbook, when we talk about processing flour, what you do is you strip it. You literally strip it from all of the nutritional value. Then you bleach it and you enrich it with synthetics and with an over-processing of gluten. And this gluten is causing havoc in digestive systems and just with our genetic makeup. It is causing so much problems, and they also have connected this high level of gluten in the white processed flours to be contributing factor to depression and anxiety. So when we get people off the processed flours, off the fake breads, and they really are fake breads, they're dead breads because there's no life-giving nutrients in them, then their digestive system starts to heal, the inflammation starts to heal, and they start to feel better. And when you feel better, you think better. When you think better, you're happier. Okay, so there is a direct relationship between the over-processed white flour and the gluten to depression. Now, of course, the answer to this, as I work with all of my clients specifically, is get off all grains, all bread products, and all of that for a minimum of 60 days. I mean, I like to say 6 months, but not everyone's willing. And really give your body a chance to heal. Then we can reintroduce freshly made, freshly milled, freshly desiring bread that comes from the creation that God gave us. And you'll be amazed at how much more benefit you'll get because of the B vitamins, the fiber content in real bread, real living bread, and how much that doesn't create depression or lead to anxiety, and yet it leads to satiety and well-being. Okay, so that's the food number 1. Food number 2 is always the second food category I have to take people off of or encourage people to get off of when they're dealing with health issues, and even specifically anxiety and depression. Once again, go back to the principles that we teach in our Bible study. Eat the foods God called food. Well, this next category is definitely a food he called food, but it's also the second most atrociously stripped of nutrients food that we consume, and it's dairy. Yeah, I worked with this one client, and her daughter just kept coming down with a rash, and it was a skin rash on her back. And we tried to realize, well, was it seasonal? Was it product related? Was it a soap? Was it a detergent? Was it a shampoo? Was it another ingredient that it was related to? What was causing this rash? Well, after we eliminated everything else, I finally said, well, what about dairy? Have we eliminated dairy? And she says, well, no, but she doesn't eat very much. I said, well, what dairy does she eat? And her mom said, well, she does like cheese a lot. Okay, so we had to eliminate all cheese, all dairy for 6 months. Immediately, within 3 weeks, the rash was gone and never came back. Since then, when I check back in with them every other year or whenever we talk, she says, yeah, the rash only comes back when she eats processed cheese. So she realized she can have raw cheese, and I will admit she went through a lot of crying phases having to give up her cheese, but realize dairy has an addictive, and it creates an addictiveness, just with the texture, with the flavors, and even the Dairy Council is very much aware of this, and it's a very pleasurable food. And even Dr. Kelly Brogan, she shares that science supports our attachment to dairy on a molecular level. Dairy contains a morphine-like compound which engages our opiate receptors and creates a mild dairy addiction. So if you say, Annette, I can't get rid of dairy, well, just understand what you're up against. It is a battle. It is a battle, but it's a battle you can win because your happiness, your joyfulness is worth it. So dairy is another one. Get rid of it for a minimum of 60 days. I know sometimes I say 30, 60 days, 6 months, whatever I'm trying to get you to do. 30 days, get rid of it 60 days, get rid of it 6 months, and then go back to eating it, but eat it from a good source. That would be a raw dairy. It would, maybe someone who has a cow share and they would give you real milk and real butter. Another good form of butter would be ghee. Ghee is a clarified butter that works really well in some digestive tracts, better than just regular butter. So there are options, and when we go back to the foods God created, we benefit. We have happiness. We have happy cells. But when we eat the processed foods, it leads us into the pit of depression and anxiety. Okay, so that's 2 down. The third one, GMOs. Yeah, genetically modified organisms. So these have really become a staple in the diet today, and they are in almost every processed food in the market. So if you're going to be eating any processed food that has corn, that has soybeans in it, and then there's a whole list of other foods that are genetically modified, you're going to be getting GMOs. Well, GMOs have been proven to be very destructive to the digestive tract. And when the digestive tract is harmed, when it's inflamed, then it leads to other problems throughout the body. It's been proven that the glyphosate that they use with the Roundup, pesticide that they use on the plants, and how these plants, the soybean and the corn, are actually pesticide resistant. Well, they're not resistant. It actually gets soaked into the plant, and then we consume the plant, or we consume the animal that consumed the plant. And I know some people are either 100% for GMOs because they think it's going to solve the world food problem, and other people are totally against GMOs. It doesn't matter which camp you're in. What I just want to teach you is it is proving that it contributes to the cancers, it contributes to depression, it contributes to anxiety. So when we heal our digestive system, we heal everything. Okay. The next food, yeah, we talk about this next one a lot. Actually, we talk about all of these a lot, but the next one is sugar. If you were given a vial when you were born and it said, okay, this is how much sugar you can have your entire life, and your pancreas will be happy, your hormones will be happy, everything will work beautifully, then I would have told you I went through that vial 100 times. And because of that, I paid the price. So sugars can overstimulate brain cells. They can overexcite. Artificial sugars are considered exotoxins. In other words, they can just cause a lot of havoc with your hormones. Well, when these become a habitual drug of choice, it leads to anxiety and depression. It can cause blood sugar cravings. Well, not blood sugar cravings, but sugar cravings. It can cause the blood sugar levels to increase really quickly. And then it can, when insulin removes this blood sugar, you then have a blood sugar crash. And then cortisol comes in to help make up for it, and then try to move sugar out of storage and back into the bloodstream. It's just a crazy, crazy train wreck. So when you're eating sugar or artificial sweeteners, your pancreas says, oh, she's eating sugar, let me send some hormones to help, process the sugar. Well, then there's no sugar, so your pancreas sends more hormones to help deal with it. And yet there's no sugar, so you wear out your pancreas. You wear out all of these organs, all of these systems that God put in place to help you, to protect you, and you're saying, no, I'm just going to wear it out. And that's what happens. So sugar utilizes more nutrition than it brings in. It's kind of like I always teach about in the healthy bank account. When you eat sugar, you are making withdrawals from your bank account. You're not putting anything in. There's no nutritive value to sugar. It's all a withdrawal. So when you make these withdrawals without any deposits into your bank account, you're setting yourself up for sickness. And sugar has definitely been related to our brain. It actually disrupts, it spikes insulin. It harms the microbiome in our digestive system. It leads to the stress hormone cortisol being released. It starves our brain. It damages the structures in our bodies like our cell membranes, our blood vessels, and all of this leads to depression. So there's lots of research out there showing how harmful sugar is. Food manufacturers have gotten creative with naming it lots of different cool names so that we don't recognize it. Cane sugar, crystalline fructose, maltodextrin, high fructose corn syrup, it's all sugar. Sugar is sugar is sugar. And so just be careful. Artificial sweeteners are artificial. When their first name is artificial, and that tells you it's not meant to be consumed in your body. If you want something sweet, go to some dates or go to honey. And those are your best sweeteners of choice. Okay, the last food is vegetable oil. Vegetable oil is, obviously, it's a commercial form of oil, but it's unhealthy fats. We need to get our oils from fruits, which would be avocados, it would be olives, it would be grape seeds, it would be foods like that. It's not meant to come from corn or safflower or sunflower or canola. I mean, canola is a rapeseed oil, but nobody wanted to buy a rapeseed oil, so they named it canola oil. But we need to realize that most of our vegetable oils are coming from GMO plants. And we've already talked about GMOs, and they're highly toxic to your body. Anything that's toxic to your body is toxic to your brain. Anything toxic to your brain can lead to anxiety and depression. It's such a cycle, but we need to realize all of this is connected. Nothing is its own system by itself and can be treated by itself. It's all one system. So we need to learn to eat well and eat like tomorrow matters. So, if I've been saying 30 days, 60 days, 6 months, even if you can just go 2 to 4 weeks without sugar, without processed flour, without GMO foods, without vegetable oils, you will do your body an amazing relief. Have you ever just wanted to go on vacation and just relax? Well, when you get rid of these foods out of your diet, your body gets to relax, recoup, improve, and regenerate a new life for you. I know it can be overwhelming to overhaul your diet. I know it's overwhelming, but when my husband and I, when we made this shift from all these altered foods to just only eating God-designed foods, it wasn't really that hard. I didn't feel like I was missing out. I didn't feel like I was giving up. I really was more excited about what I can eat than what I can't. And so mentally, I was ready to get rid of all those days of depression. I have ruined so many family vacations in my early days of being depressed and PMS and all these anxiety issues. I was just ruining my life and my family's life until I had to get things straightened out. I realized, wow, I was working with a deficit when it comes to depression. I was very deficit in B vitamins. Well, I can get B vitamins out of whole grains. That's what the world's not teaching you. They're like, all bread is bad. No, and all bread is not bad. The living bread that Jesus teaches us about is very much a living bread. Dead bread, well, it's dead. So it's really not worth it. I hope this has been encouraging to you. I just want you to realize your body was made to heal, and God is the Rapha healer, and He wants to bring healing to you. And there's other ways that you can also correct anxiety and depression, but these are 5 foods that really, by all means, get them out of your diet and make it easier to correct the other things that are going on. I'm Annette Reeder, the Biblical Nutritionist, and I would love for you to subscribe, hit the bell so you'll get notified anytime a video is posted. If this isn't enough learning for you, which I hope it's not, then join us on our website page, thebiblicalnutritionist.com. If you want some better interaction, quicker interaction, join us on Facebook at The Biblical Nutritionist. It's been my joy to share with you. I want to teach you how to be confident as a cook, how to be confident in your health. That way your tomorrow is going to be amazing. And also how to be confident in God's love for you. Oh, don't forget to like this video. Thank you.